This is Horror News Weekly, brought to you by Classic VHS Horror, your home for horror. Remember to drop a like and subscribe, and with that out of the way, I'm Jose, and let's see what's new in the world of horror entertainment. With a serious lack of promo material up to this point, it's been easy to forget that a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre is on the way, with the Fede Alvarez-produced Texas Chainsaw Massacre said to be a sequel to Tobe Hooper's original classic. We've been promised Old Man Leatherface and the return of Sally Hardesty, but beyond that, not much else is known. So what's the latest in the film, and when can we expect to see it? While we don't have those answers yet, THR reports that Netflix has acquired the global rights to the film. David Blue Garcia directed the movie for Legendary, which was written by Chris Thomas Devling and filmed last year. The film is a sequel to Tobe Hooper's original classic. THR notes the movie takes place years after the shocking events of the original, in a setting where Leatherface hasn't been seen or heard from since. The film seeks to pick up where the Hooper and Kim Henkel film initially left off, bringing the most notorious horror franchise back to life in the same bold and provocative manner that it was first introduced to the world. Though we haven't heard anything about the announced Rick Grimes movies aside from confirmations every now and then that they're still happening, we may be getting close to figuring out what happened to the fearless leader of Alexandria, Rick Grimes, in the form of The World Beyond. Actress Pollyanna McIntosh made her debut as Jadis in The Walking Dead back in 2017 as the peculiar leader of the Scavengers. Jadis hasn't been seen on the main series for a few years now, but we've learned she's now joining the young adult spin-off. McIntosh will play Jadis in the second and final season of The Walking Dead, World Beyond. The show's 10-episode second season premieres October 3rd, with all episodes available 1 week early on AMC Plus beginning September 26. Season 2 of The Walking Dead World Beyond concludes the epic story of Iris, Hope, Elton, and Silas, 4 friends who journeyed across the country on a mission that transformed everything they knew about themselves and the world. As they face off against the mysterious Civic Republic military and fight for control of their own destiny, goals will shift, bonds will form and crumble, and innocence will be both lost and found. We are thrilled to have the terrific Pollyanna McIntosh back as Jadis, and we're excited for viewers to see how she collides with the characters in this part of the universe, said Scott Gimple. In our story, years have passed. We'll get hints of what happened with that fateful helicopter ride and learn Jadis has new allies and alliances. She is a big part of connecting the CRM and Three Circles mythology that's been seen throughout all 3 series. We can't wait to share it with all the fans of The Walking Dead. There have been countless takes on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein over the years, and there will undoubtedly be countless more. It is, after all, one of the most iconic horror tales of all time. Up next is The Last Frankenstein, which will be premiered via the Underground Cinema Film Festival out of Dublin, Ireland on September 3rd, to be followed by its theatrical premiere at the historic Proctor's Theatre in New York on October 23rd. From Guile Films, The Last Frankenstein centers on Jason Frankenstein, last of his family line. Buried in a dormant life and a dead-end relationship, Jason finds himself approaching midlife with little progress to show towards carrying forward his ancestors' experiments. But after a creature from his past brutally reappears, he is catalyzed to finally complete his work. With the help of a pair of drug-dealing paramedics and a nurse with a shady past, he sets down the blood-soaked path to create a living being from the bodies of the dead. The film has been described as an existential slasher, one that combines in-depth character study with all the blood, gore, and terror that are the hallmarks of horror cinema. The press release hypes heavily influenced by cinema of the late 50s through mid-80s. The film overflows with mid-century locations, practical special effects, and vintage aesthetic, and features appearances by 2 veteran horror actors. The trailer will be linked down in the description. In the immediate wake of Paramount moving Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible 7, and Jackass Forever to 2022, Sony has now pushed Ghostbusters Afterlife into a new date. But don't worry, you won't have to wait until 2022. Ghostbusters Afterlife will now release in theaters on November 19, 2021. In this year's Ghostbusters film, written by Jason Reitman and Gil Kennan, when a single mom and her 2 kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, and Annie Potts are all coming back for the sequel, reprising their iconic and beloved roles. We still don't have a premiere date, but the Gremlins franchise is soon headed back into our homes, courtesy of HBO Max series Gremlins: The Secret of Mogwai, a half-hour animated prequel series from Warner Brothers Animation and Amblin TV that's set in 1920 Shanghai and tells the story of how 10-year-old Sam Wing met the young Mogwai called Gizmo. While we wait for more, we've learned today via The Hollywood Reporter that Secrets of the Mogwai will be given a cross-platform run, also airing on the Cartoon Network. KHR reports, the show will be part of a Sunday evening block of family-friendly movies and shows that will debut on Cartoon Network and HBO Max in early 2022. After releasing in theaters just last month, Sony Pictures has already brought the brand new sequel Don't Breathe 2 home, available on demand. After scaring up over 150 million worldwide back in 2016, the franchise is back with Don't Breathe 2, this time directed by Evil Dead and Don't Breathe co-writer Rodos Saiges. In Don't Breathe 2, the blind man has been hiding out for years in an isolated cabin and has taken in and raised a young girl orphan from a house fire. Their quiet existence is shattered when a group of kidnappers show up and take the girl, forcing the blind man to live a safe haven to save her. Sony's live-action movie Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City is scheduled to hit theaters on November 24th. IGN published an extensive chat with director Johannes Roberts that teases the approach of the franchise's return to the big screen. For starters, Welcome to Raccoon City is a horror movie, leaving behind the big-budget action of the previous live-action movies. Roberts explains to IGN, this movie really had nothing to do with the previous franchise. This was all about returning to the games and creating a movie that was much more of a horror movie than a sort of sci-fi action in the previous films. I was hugely influenced in particular by the remake of the second game, and I really wanted to capture the atmosphere-drenched tone that it had. It was so cinematic. The previous movies were very bright and shiny, whereas this movie is very dark and grimy. It's entirely shot at night, it's constantly raining, and the town is shrouded in mist. The movie has a very old-school retro feel to it. I was hugely influenced by movies like The Exorcist and Exorcist 3, Don't Look Now, and The Shining. You can really feel the texture in this movie, he continues. Nothing in this town feels high-tech, it feels very dilapidated. I wanted Raccoon City to feel a bit like the town in Deer Hunter, a ghost town forgotten by the rest of the world. The whole structure of the film was definitely very influenced by Assault and Precinct 13. Roberts also talks about the new movie's creatures in his chat with IGN, which he says will be faithful to the video games. Notably, Lisa Trevor is in the mix this time around. We always return to the game whenever we were looking at the characters and creatures and locations. He was our guiding star. Every character and creature is from the game, and as such, I wanted to be as faithful as possible, Robert tells IGN. I wanted to create a truly immersive feeling for the fans, but that also became the trickiest part of adapting a piece of IP like this, because it didn't just want to put the game on screen, it had to be its own thing with the living, breathing characters and creatures, and of course, zombies, that felt true to the world. There was some cool stuff in there. I mean, some of the creature stuff looks incredible. It was a mixture of prosthetics, CGI, and creature performance. There's some wonderfully freaky stuff in there. You'll immediately recognize the creatures from the game, but hopefully, we've gone beyond the game in terms of making these terrifying creations feel like they really could exist in real life. Roberts continues, there is actually quite a lot that has never been in any previous movie, to be honest, which is exciting. And even the stuff we have seen before, I won't give it away, but there are some iconic creatures fans will be happy to see. We have really gone all out on making them feel like characters. Really focused in on each individual creature, whether it be zombie or crow or Doberman, or I won't spoil the rest. But it's never huge wide shots of faceless hordes. It's all about detail. It's about really connecting with that individual creature at that time. Here's the full synopsis for the new movie. Once the booming home of pharmaceutical giant Umbrella Corporation, Raccoon City is now a dying Midwestern town. The company's exodus left the city a wasteland with great evil brewing below the surface. When that evil is unleashed, the townspeople are forever changed, and a small group of survivors must work together to uncover the truth behind Umbrella and make it through the night. Originally released on Blu-ray back in 2015, the 1982 horror movie Trick or Treats is being re-released on Blu-ray for this year's Halloween season, October 5th. Special features include audio commentary with actors Jackie Guerreau, Peter Jason, Chris Graver, and cameraman R. Michael Stringer. Audio interview with actor Steve Railsback. Watching Katarina's bucket list mode. Limited edition O-card. In the film, 5 years after his wife Joan had wrongfully and deliberately committed to a mental institution so she could live with her boyfriend, Malcolm escapes on Halloween night and arrives back at his old house to murder her. Except Joan is not home, she's out with her boyfriend, while babysitter Linda is looking after Malcolm's 10-year-old son Christopher, an equally psychotic and demented practical joker until, under cover of darkness, Malcolm shows up and begins a real terror game of attrition with Linda. Switch fans will be getting Kazuki Shidoma's horror adventure game Shadow Corridor this October, with NIS America bringing it to the Nintendo eShop on October 26. Currently, the game is available for the Switch and the PlayStation 4 in Japan, as well as on Steam. Shadow Corridor is a survival horror title set in traditional Japanese locales. You're up against spirits of the nomads that are out to find you. You've got to navigate a randomly generated map to find the exit, picking up helpful items along the way to ward off the spirits. The ghost AI utilized by the spirits of the cursed No-Mask respond to a variety of stimuli, including your footsteps. From the makers of Sirento, which has similar first-person acrobatic combat, Hellsweeper VR puts you in the role of an immortal, trudging through the underworld, laying waste to a variety of demonic creatures. Hellsweeper utilizes an intense no-holds-barred locomotion system that enables you to wall run, power slide, backflip, and more in VR as you juggle enemies, rip them in half, and pull off other crazy stuff with your powers. The devs are still in the midst of developing Hellsweeper VR, though the plan is for the game to have a roguelike, sandbox, and multiplayer modes, with a variety of weapons and spells available to players across the 16+ playable maps that explore different sizes and verticalities. There will also be an in-game recording camera to capture all your crazy runs and stunts. Hellsweeper VR is expected mid to late 2022 for Oculus Rift, Oculus Rift S, Oculus Quest 2, Valve Index, and the HTC Vive. Originally teased back in February, NECA will soon be releasing an Ash Williams action figure that pays tribute to Sam Raimi's original The Evil Dead, which is notable considering previous Ash figures were always based on the sequels and, more recently, the TV series. Yes, we're finally getting a 1981 Ash from NECA, and the company has taken to social media to show off another sneak peek that gives us our first look at the brand new figure. The Evil Dead turns 40 years old this year, and it looks like the figure will come with a slew of accessories including an axe, shotgun, chainsaw, lantern, and tape recorder. No chainsaw hand, no blood. This is how we first met the horror icon. With the Halloween season about to begin, Spirit Halloween stores have begun popping up around the country, and fans of killer clowns from outer space will be delighted to discover that the store has an entire section dedicated to the movie, which includes a 5-foot-tall Shorty animatronic. What other killer clowns from outer space goodies can you expect from Spirit Halloween this year? Masks, costumes, t-shirts, coffee mugs, signs, and even a blanket. Both Shorty and Spiky get their own half-mask this year, while Shorty has also been turned into a full-on costume with mask, along with Clown's character Jumbo. Halloween Horror Nights has officially begun at Universal Studios Orlando. This year's event runs on select nights straight through Halloween, with Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood beginning on September 9th. If you're not able to attend, you can still pick up some Halloween Horror Nights merch through the official Universal Orlando online shop, including shirts, collectible drinking glasses, toys, pins, and more, all of it based on the properties that have houses this year, including Beetlejuice, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the Universal Monsters. There's a whole lot of Child's Play merchandise this year, with Chucky featured on mugs, shirts, pins, and mystery blind bags. They're also selling figures of the Universal Monsters, with Frankenstein, the Bride, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Dracula in the mix. As for the collectible drinking glasses, which have become a highlight of the annual Halloween Horror Nights, the shop currently has the Universal Monsters, Beetlejuice, and official Halloween Horror Nights 30 glasses in stock, and Child's Play and Texas Chainsaw Massacre glasses are also available. As a big fan of the Universal Monsters, I personally cannot wait to get the figures and the mugs for my personal collection. Legion M has been doing a great job capitalizing on the success of Panos Cosmatos Mandy, with all kinds of official merchandise, including a turret-gobbling Halloween mask and a replica of the battle axe Nicolas Cage wields in the film. There is even a Red Miller plush doll that you can purchase right now, officially approved by Nicolas Cage himself. The latest Mandy merch, of course, from Legion M is their wildest piece to date, a hyper-realistic Red Miller mask, which essentially allows you to wear and display Nicolas Cage's bloody head. Legion M describes, "Now you can become Red Miller with this hyper-realistic mask. These masks are handcrafted by FX artist Robert Larry, known for creating ultra-realistic stunt masks for studio stunt doubles. Each mask is individually handmade by Larry, starting with an uncanny sculpture of Nicolas Cage from countless photos and references from the film. Cast in the highest grade latex rubber, these thick but soft and comfortable masks are inspected, trimmed, then are primed, painted, and sealed in silicone rubber for realism, durability, and longevity. A technique Larry developed while fabricating masks that would be put through production wear. Every mask gets the utmost attention to detail, from the skin tone to the translucent blood, all the way down to the painstakingly hand-laid, styled, and trimmed hair. This mask looks like Red is right there with you. Only 30 of these masks are being made, each one coming with a certificate of authenticity signed by producer Daniel Noah and Robert Larry. While supplies last, Cage's head can be yours for a whopping $2,000. And who wouldn't pay $2,000 to have Nicolas Cage's head? For more news from the world of horror, tune in next week. I'm Jose, and I will see you later.